We now move to the statement on veteran welfare services. Minister Johnny Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. With your permission, I wish to update the House today on the work this government is taking to ensure our welfare services for veterans are fit for the future. Under this Prime Minister, what it feels like to be a veteran has fundamentally transformed with the introduction of defined pathways for veterans to access support, including with housing and healthcare, backed by record amounts of government funding. As we continue to pave the way forward, we knew the time was right to look back and carefully consider the efficiency and effectiveness of pre-existing services being provided, including some services under the banner of Veterans UK. That is why in March this year, the Minister for Defence, People, Veterans, Service, Families and I informed this House that we had commissioned an independent review into a total of 7 bodies, including the Veterans Welfare Services, Defence Transition Services and the Veterans Gateway, which I was pleased to see was published in full in July. The Welfare Services Review contained recommendations to improve and simplify welfare provision for veterans across a variety of channels, and marked the first time these services had been considered in the round, looking at their role, scope and breadth. The Minister for Defence, People, Veterans and Service Families and I welcome the review's findings as an important step in making the UK the best place in the world to be a veteran. This government has already committed to formally respond to the review by the end of the year, but I understand that members of this House and their constituents rightly expect an update from me on what progress we have made so far. I am therefore delighted to announce that the government accepts the principles behind the vast majority of the review's 35 strategic and operational recommendations. With thanks to close collaboration between the Ministry of Defence and the Office of Veterans Affairs, I am pleased to be in a position to update the House on how this government is taking decisive steps to deliver on a number of the review's recommendations. Firstly, I can announce today that the Veterans UK branding will be retired in 2024, with the government announcing a replacement in due course. Indeed, as the review itself acknowledged, staff involved in delivering welfare services for veterans sincerely care about their work. However, sometimes analogue processes have historically hampered the level of service provided. But with initiatives such as the government's digitisation programme, backed by £40 million of government funding, we are confident that the experience of service users will be genuinely transformed. The retirement of the Vets UK branding, therefore, marks a clean break from the past, represents a vital step forward in regaining the trust between the service and its users. Secondly, the word veterans will be removed from the title of the Minister for Defence, People, Veterans and Service Families, with the title renamed Minister for Defence, People and Families. We agree with the review's recommendation that this will provide clarity about responsibility for coordinating veterans' policy about government. Indeed, whilst the MOD will continue to provide support, including pensions, compensation, with transition to veterans and their families, and beyond transition on issues resulting from service, this change to the ministerial title further clarifies that the primary duty for coordinating veterans' policy across government sits with the Office for Veterans Affairs, at the heart of government, in the Cabinet Office, with I, as the Minister for Veterans Affairs, reporting directly to the Prime Minister in Cabinet. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I can announce that the OVA is currently exploring options for transforming Veterans Gateway, which has already had more than 1 million visits to its online guides. This House will be pleased to know that we have recently launched a refresh project for the Gateway and are in the process of bringing the service into central government within the Office of Veterans Affairs, ensuring the Gateway delivers streamlined access to the plethora of support that is available to veterans. Tied into this work, the Ministry of Defence and the Office of Veterans Affairs will jointly assess the relationship between the Veterans Gateway and Veterans UK helplines. We will be mindful throughout of the need to simplify how veterans access support and ensure the veterans who are unable to access services online, who have more complex needs, are still supported. Finally, the Welfare Services Review will, alongside the Veterans and Advisory Pension Committees Act, continue to clarify the future role of the VAPCs in a way that supports the government's vision for veterans' welfare services. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, today puts us yet another step closer to delivering on this government's ambition to make the UK the best country in the world to be a veteran. I wish to pay particular tribute to the review team, the Independent Veterans Advisor and all 150 contributors to this review for the considerable amount of work that went into producing the report in a relatively short space of time. I look forward to publishing the government's full response to the review later in the year and to ensuring that our welfare services for all veterans and their families, service leavers and the bereaved community are as efficient and effective as possible. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this country has an unwavering duty to those who put their life on the line for our freedom. And as today's statement demonstrates, this government is committed and determined to discharge that duty with the honour and respect our courageous ex-service personnel deserve, and I commend this statement to the House.
Shadow Minister.